Hello YouTube, Blue State Refugee here. Today we're going to frog lube a AR bolt carrier. It's a brand new carrier I just put together, a little project for the winter while I was inside. And I'm going to frog lube the carrier. Now what I've done already is I've taken and degreased all the oil off of it with some simple green. And now we're just going to hit it with a hairdryer, get it hot. Apply the paste, which I have here, and an acid brush. You can get these at Home Depot over in the soldering department. Lots of times they're used for applying flux. You can get them on Amazon. They're called acid brushes. You can probably get 10 of them for like a nickel. They're really inexpensive. And I'd also like to take a little moment to review this little piece of kit that I picked up. It's called the C.A.T M-4 tool. And let me tell you something. I did a bolt carrier earlier today from one of my older guns, and I thought it was clean. When I hit it with this scraper that scrapes the back of the tail on the actual bolt, it also gets down inside where the chrome lining is to scrape away all that carbon buildup. I was quite surprised, and I think this is well worth the money, and I believe it's less than $10. It's appears to be stamped, and it's not really fancy, but it does a whole host of things. It also will take and scrape the carbon that you get built up on the back of the firing pin. You can drop it in here and rotate it, and it'll scrape the carbon to keep that corner nice and clean, so that ensures that the firing pin gets full penetration to detonate the cartridge. So without further ado, I'm going to hit it with the heat. So the heat gun's going to be a little bit loud. I'll probably splice in some music. This is just a hairdryer, nothing real fancy. It's 1875, I believe that's the wattage. So anything that produces enough heat to get the metal hot, what we're going to do is it opens the pores of the material. In this case, the bolt carrier is made out of Carpenter 154. It's going to open the pores of the material. The frog lube is going to then be applied, and it's going to seep in at the molecular level. And then we're going to let it sit for an hour, and we're going to wipe all the residue off with this microfiber cloth. Fortunately, I've already done a bolt carrier, and that's ready to be wiped off. So I'll just splice that right in, and everything will flow pretty good. So without any more fanfare, let's get this party started. It doesn't take long to get enough heat built up on the actual parts to get this paste to melt. Now, if you're not familiar with frog lube, this is a wondrous product. So, if you're not familiar with Frog Lube, it's pretty revolutionary in that it's biodegradable. It's approved for food usage inside of the FDA. You can actually eat it. I have tasted it. I'm not going to do it again. It has a nice spearmint flavor, and it actually has a nice spearmint scent as your as this stuff heats up. So that's actually what this does. Is as you're shooting, it starts to heat up and re-liquefy, and then it starts to coat the parts and keep them nice and lubricated. And then they say that after 3 treatments of this, which is what we're doing right now, that this will be permanently lubricated, and you don't have to put any additional CLP. Now, I have a few Glocks that I have frog lubed, and when I go to clean them, I just kind of wipe them down with a rag and just double check to make sure that some of the contact points are still lubricated, and go from there. Maybe put a couple of drops of CLP down the road, but this really should be all you have to do. Now, I know there's a lot of people who question whether or not this is good for cold conditions or sand. There's a lot of resources out there on YouTube that have done a lot of that research. I saw one video of a guy who had an AK-74 up in Minnesota back in January, and I'm pretty sure it's cold in Minnesota in January, and he had absolutely no problems with it. So we have that completely coated, and then that's probably it. We are done. We're going to let that sit. Okay, so I'm going to move this to a paper towel I have over here, and I'll let that sit up for about an hour. Didn't bother doing the cotter key, the cotter pin, but I did everything else with Frog Lube. And then we'll bring in the other bolt carrier that we've done previously, and there it is. Okay, make sure that's in frame nice. And all we're going to do now is we're just going to, you see it's kind of got a waxy residue. We're just going to go ahead and microfiber that down. Now, when you buy the kit from wherever Frog Lube distributor or Amazon or anything of that nature, you generally get the paste. You'll get a bottle of CLP, and then you'll get the brush as well as a microfiber, say that 10 times fast, cloth, and that pretty much completes the process. Now, I'm hoping that Frog Lube on the AR will actually help to shed the high carbon deposits that you get in that gas impingement system. I know I like it on the Glocks. It seems to be real easy to maintain, and you can feel it's got a kind of a waxy residue, and we'll just go ahead and wipe that all down. And believe it or not, this is an old Bushmaster that I've had for many years, and it's one of those things. It's like an old comfortable shoe. It's not the fanciest thing out there, but it goes bang every time. And I've actually converted it over with a 4-12 scope, and that's the rifle that I take with me in pursuit of coyotes. So obviously the reassembly is pretty simple. The bolt slides into the carrier, and then we take the key and we drop that in, and then we rotate the key 90 degrees. Okay, and then we drop in our firing pin, And then from there, we put our cotter key back together, and she's all done. Snaps out nice. As you can, like I said, I've had this gun for a while, so it's broken in nicely. And that's it. That gun's ready to go. In terms of anything else, your frog lube on the AR, you could probably heat up the inside of the upper on the top there. But I really don't see any need, because the 4 points of contact that generally make all the contact are these rails, 2 on either side. You'll see the gas key as it moves, and then obviously the bolt when it rotates in and locks. So, if you've enjoyed this video and you've found it of benefit, please like, share, and subscribe. Remember, it's important to think free and act free to truly be free. Long live the Republic.